welcome to Amputee University. Hey, if you have not subscribed, please do so. If you like this video, please hit the like button. Anyhow, oh, and don't forget to leave comments. I don't get many comments and I don't know why. But comments help drive conversation, good or bad. It just helps later on when you post video. But anyway, I want to get to the point. How was my leg, my entire right leg, torn from my body? Was it an accident? Motorcycle or car or boat or ATV? Maybe. Was it an explosion? Perhaps I was in the military. Disease? Possible. And a variety of other things could have happened. Maybe even a logging accident. The truth is, in 1984, I was 9, almost 10 years old. And I was a very active kid. I was involved in all sorts of sports and playing outside and all that stuff. So a major part of my identity was just being an athletic, active kid. But anyway, I started noticing a growth and pain in my right leg around my knee area. And, you know, being an active kid, you could get hurt or, you know, blow it off, right? But after a while, it didn't go away. And eventually I get to the local physician's assistant's office, and he examines me and he looks at me, no x-ray, and says, well, I just think it's torn tissue. Okay, that sounds good. We go home, take aspirin, take it easy, and nothing gets better. You know, and I did this for a couple weeks, maybe a week and a half. And my mother, who's a nurse, determined we're off course. So being, you know, an actively involved mother, she made an appointment with an orthopedic surgeon, and excuse me. And anyway, he brought me right in, and guess what? First thing he does, takes an x-ray. And let me back up a little bit too. Like the night before I went to this orthopedic surgeon, my mother explained what cancer was and, you know, what that can be. And I remember sitting in the kitchen when she said this, and I'm like, Mom, what is cancer? What do you mean? And she said it's malignant cells that grow and can be, you know, very dangerous. It could be life-threatening. And she explained that a little bit to me. And anyway, the next day we go to the orthopedic surgeon. He takes an x-ray, and in a very short amount of time, this all happened very quickly, I remember. I'm sitting in the patient room with my mother, and he calls my mother out. And in the hallway, he explained to her what happened, and I couldn't hear anything. It was a private conversation, but then I heard her crying in the hallway, and I knew immediately it was bad. I knew it was cancer, but, you know, ironically, like she explained it. And from there, he referred me to Mass General in Boston, which you know, luckily at the time was one of the premier hospitals in the country. I'm sure it still is. And Dr. Gebhardt, one of the orthopedic surgeons up there, I was very lucky to get set up with him through that referral, because at the time, and I'm sure he's still around too, but I know he's one of the top guys in the country. And he did the surgery, and at the time there were two options. I could have done a surgery where there was some residual limb left, and what we decided to do, not what I decided to do, what my mother decided to do, is have the hip dysartic surgery, which means they remove the entire leg, including the femur bone, from the socket. So your ball and socket, femur bone fits up in there, that comes out too. Simply because that was the best chance of survival for me. You know, and I'm glad ultimately that's what happened, because I'm here and I'm living my life. But, you know, I credit my mother for making that tough decision and more or less saving my life in many different ways. I could go into a whole different video about her, and I probably will soon. But from there, you know, we had the surgery. I became an amputee, and that's where the journey started. And I would like to share that with you guys. So today I just wanted to talk about, for what reason did I lose my leg? How did I lose my leg? Was it a traumatic accident? No. Was I lucky that it was surgically removed by one of the premier surgeons in the country? Absolutely. And one of the main reasons is, A, I survived, but B, I learned later on that Dr. Gebhardt was very good at amputating a leg and taking care of those nerves, so there's not a lot of phantom pain. I recently did a Zoom conference with Clarkson University with PT students, and they were very curious about phantom pain. Luckily for me, I've had some, but not a lot. And I know that can be debilitating. If you don't know what phantom pain is, it's like getting an electric shock to where your residual limb would be, except it's not there. Like your brain still associates a limb being there, but it's gone. And you just get these shocking pains. And there's nothing you can do about it. So luckily that was to a minimum, thanks to him and Mass General. You know, and you know, I think sometimes people want to compare one situation to the next, like car accident versus cancer versus military, and you know, they're all bad, and I can't say one is easier than the other. You know, with the military, an accident, you have the trauma of losing your limb suddenly without even thinking about it, and also just the trauma of the accident. So psychologically, I'm sure that's really tough to deal with. But on the other hand, somebody like who has cancer like me, it's a little different, and maybe you're a little bit more mentally prepared and understand why you're losing your limb. But I gotta say, the chemotherapy end of that is horrible. So you're dealing with the amputation and the psychological challenges with losing your limb. But in addition to that, you're doing chemo. And chemo, I'll explain this, is, for me, it was far worse than the amputation. It's just a horrible experience. I would never want to go through that again. And it's horrible for anybody who has to go through it, especially for the family. But regardless, you know, the title of this video is how my, you know, basically how my leg was torn from me. In literal terms, it wasn't torn from me. You know, it was very surgically removed by a super surgeon, again, Dr. Gebhardt. But, you know, psychologically it was torn from me, that leg. And again, when I was 10 years old, that was my identity. I was like the athletic kid. You know, I was like one of the first people to get picked, you know, when you went out on the playground to play kickball or football or whatever it was. So, in a sense, it was torn from me, and it was traumatic, and I had to completely reinvent myself. And it wasn't months, it was years to figure out. So, you know, I want to tell that story, further chapters of the story as we go. I think this was enough for today. But anyway, like this video if you like it. If you don't like it, comment. Let me know why. And then subscribe if you haven't done so. Thank you. Have a great day. We'll see you later.